Prince William has been bottling up his emotions about his mother's death and how it affected him and his brother Harry, who was only 12 years old at the time. The 20th anniversary of her death feels like an important moment to remember all the good things about her. William revealed how he coped with the loss of his mother at such a young age and shared the heavy toll it took on both him and his brother, as well as the entire royal family. The details of William's painful disclosure about Princess Diana's death offer insight into his grief. When asked about what impressed him most about her, he mentioned her qualities that are essential for someone in a leadership role. Join us as we reveal the details of one of the most catastrophic losses the British royal family has ever faced, and William's journey through grief. Prince William was just a young teenager when he lost his mother to the cold hands of death in 1997. Allegations surrounding Princess Diana's death have remained shocking over the years, with authorities now reviewing sensational claims that she was murdered by the British government. William has expressed his deep-seated pain and frustration regarding the circumstances surrounding her death. He has also spoken about the relentless pursuit of truth and the parallels between the media's treatment of Princess Diana and his own experiences during the period of grief. He and Harry described her loss and burial as traumatic, feeling disconnected from their emotions and unable to bear the expectations placed upon them to maintain a composed public demeanor. William's honest reflections offer a rare admission of the painful impact of grief and loss, especially for a young person facing such a public tragedy. While there are several theories about the cause of Princess Diana's death, William believes the paparazzi and photographers who relentlessly pursued her were to blame. At the time of Princess Diana's death, William was 15, and Harry was just 12 years old. However, during the 20th year memorial service for their mother, Harry revealed that he had grieved bitterly for the first 2 years following her death. He also disclosed something shocking. Keep watching to find out. According to the Prince of Wales, there was no family support or attention after the death of their mother. The British royal family's tradition of emotional restraint further complicated William's ability to grieve. The rigid culture meant that open discussions about grief were not permitted, leaving William to deal with his emotions and feelings alone. Unfortunately, while he tried to avoid the recurrent thoughts of grief, he didn't realize his mental health was breaking down. One of the most heart-wrenching aspects of William's grief was his regret over his last conversation with Diana on the night she died. She had called to check in on him and Harry, but the two were eager to play and rushed through the conversation. William later said he would always regret that moment, wishing he had spoken to her longer. This what-if scenario haunted him for years. The weight of missed opportunities is a common experience for those who lose loved ones suddenly, but for William, it was magnified by the public nature of Diana's death and the media noise surrounding it. During another media session, Harry admitted that he only cried once after Diana's tragic passing, at her burial, but one couldn't say the same for William. Harry further admitted that, unlike William, he could shut down all his emotions, though this decision would come back to haunt him. According to him, he had to seek therapy to confront the emotional pain he had buried for years. He spoke candidly about the transformative power of therapy, explaining that it allowed him to process his grief in ways he had previously avoided. By sharing their experiences in this grievous journey, William and Harry have become vocal advocates for therapy, encouraging others to seek help. If you're wondering why Princess Diana's death caused her children so much pain, even after 2 decades, you're not alone. But we must take a short walk down memory lane first. Keep watching for the interesting revelations ahead. It was a tragic night in Paris in late August 1997 when Princess Diana and Prince Charles had just divorced. Diana was a very young mother, around 36 years old at the time. It does not make people dangerous to know, so you can shake their hands and give them a hug. Heaven knows, they need it. Diana was ready to begin a new chapter of her life with Dodi Alade, the son of Harrods department store owner, Mohamed Alade. After they met, the couple announced that they would be going on a trip to Paris shortly. Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed spent 10 days aboard Mohamed Alade's yacht, the Jonal, before flying from Sardinia to Paris on August 30, 1997. Upon their arrival in Paris, the couple visited Villa Windsor and the Ritz Paris Hotel, which was owned by the Fayed family. During their stay, Princess Diana spoke to her sons on the phone, and Dodi visited a jewelry shop. Neither of them knew the catastrophe that awaited them in Paris later that evening. To avoid the paparazzi and the 30 photographers waiting outside to take their pictures, the couple left the hotel through a rear exit. They were driven by Henry Paul, the deputy head of security, in a black Mercedes-Benz, with Dodi's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, in the front passenger seat. Unfortunately, neither Princess Diana nor Dodi used their seat belts, although Trevor Rees-Jones was reportedly buckled up. At that point, no one knew a fatal calamity would soon strike the couple. At 2:03 a.m., Henry Paul lost control of the car just a few meters from Dodi's villa, inside the Pont de El Alma underpass. The vehicle struck a Fiat, veered off course, and collided head-on with a support pillar. According to footage, their car was said to be traveling at a very high speed, exceeding the tunnel speed limit. Unfortunately, the accident was fatal, causing significant damage to the front of the car. Eyewitnesses reported smoke and the presence of photographers on motorcycles near the scene during the crash. Tragically, Diana, Dodi Fayed, and Henry Paul lost their lives in the accident, with Rees-Jones being the sole survivor. According to Dr. Frédéric Mellers, a French doctor who was traveling the route at the time of the incident, there were a total of 4 victims. 2 appeared to be dead, with no reaction or breathing, while the other 2, seated on the right side, were alive but in severe condition. He further explained that the front passenger was screaming and breathing, and could wait a few minutes, but the female passenger, a young lady, was on her knees on the floor of the Mercedes, her head down, struggling to breathe and in need of urgent assistance. He ran to his car, called emergency services, and grabbed a respiratory bag for first aid. Unfortunately, the firefighters arrived about 40 minutes later, but by then, Dodi and Henry had already been pronounced dead at the scene. Tragically, an eyewitness reported that 7 photographers, including paparazzi, did not attempt to rescue the victims. Instead, they were more focused on taking pictures and videos of the scene while rescuers tried to save Princess Diana from the wreckage. According to firefighter Xavier Gorman, Diana's last words were, "My God, what's happened?" She was pulled from the wreckage but suffered cardiac arrest. Despite efforts to revive her, including open-heart surgery, all attempts were unsuccessful, and Diana tragically passed away at 4 a.m. Surprisingly, Princess Diana's death continues to generate controversy. There are many questions and uncertainties surrounding the cause of her death, including the discovery of high levels of alcohol in the driver's blood, as revealed by an autopsy. Several revelations continue to emerge, prompting more speculation and conspiracy theories. The circumstances surrounding Princess Diana's death have become the subject of ongoing speculation and conspiracy theories. While the official investigation concluded that the accident was caused by driver error and intoxication, some people, including Mohammed Al-Fayed, believe there is a more sinister plot at play, possibly involving British intelligence agencies and the royal family. Others blame the relentless pursuit of the paparazzi and photographers. One of the most mysterious and enduring aspects of the case is the alleged presence of a white Fiat Uno at the crash scene. Witnesses claim to have seen the small vehicle in the tunnel, and traces of white paint were later found on Diana's car. This evidence suggested that the 2 vehicles may have made contact, possibly causing the crash. However, despite extensive efforts by French investigators to track down the driver of the Fiat, no conclusive identification was ever made. At one point, attention shifted to Levantin, a taxi driver who owned a white Fiat Uno and was known to have repainted it soon after the crash. He denied any involvement, and the investigation did not pursue him further. The inability to locate the driver of the Fiat or determine its role in the crash has been a central point of contention, leading many to believe it was not just an ordinary hit-and-run incident, but a deliberate one. Another key element of the conspiracy comes from Princess Diana herself. In a letter she wrote to her butler, Paul Burle, months before her death, Diana expressed fears about a plot against her life. She claimed there was a plan to stage an accident involving brake failure that would result in a serious head injury. Given the nature of her death, the letter's accuracy was so precise that the specificity of her prediction prompted widespread suspicion, particularly since she mentioned her ex-husband, Prince Charles, in the context of this alleged plan. That's not all. The role of Henry Paul is another subject of interest among investigators. According to autopsy results, he had a high blood alcohol level at the time of the crash, far beyond the legal limit. After the autopsy, some investigators framed him as a reckless drunk driver who endangered Diana, Dodi, and himself in a high-speed chase to avoid paparazzi. However, people began doubting the investigators' claims after the Ritz Hotel released CCTV footage of Diana's time with them. In the footage, Paul was well-behaved and walked normally, without any signs of intoxication to indicate he was under the influence of alcohol to the degree stated in the toxicology report. Adding to the doubts, Paul's family questioned the accuracy of the toxicology report, which indicated unusually high levels of carbon monoxide in his blood. Some medical experts also raised concerns about the official explanation, suggesting that the observed symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning were not evident in Henry Paul's behavior. Additionally, Professor A.O.L. Johnston, a clinical pharmacologist, raised doubts about the official narrative surrounding Henry Paul's blood alcohol levels. He questioned the authenticity of one of the blood samples and pointed out the unusual consistency in the results from different samples taken from Paul's body. These inconsistencies have fueled speculation about potential tampering or manipulation of evidence, further complicating efforts to investigate the tragic accident. Another conspiracy theory about Princess Diana's tragic death was the rumor that she was engaged and pregnant at the time of her death. According to Mohammed Al-Fayed, Diana and Dodi were murdered. While speaking in court in 2008, he told the judge that the royal family did not want a non-Christian among them. He went further to suggest that Diana was eliminated for daring to marry an Egyptian Muslim. Al-Fayed also claimed that Diana was pregnant at the time of her death. Although the official autopsy done by Dr. Robert Chapman found no evidence to support his claim, Dr. Alan Schiller, head of pathology at New York's Mount Sinai School of Medicine, countered the British doctor's report in an attempt to clear the controversy. Investigators analyzed blood samples found in the wreckage of the car, but the results indicated the absence of human chorionic gonadotropin, a hormone always associated with pregnancy. Additionally, interviews with close friends of Princess Diana revealed that she was not pregnant and was using contraception. These findings contradict the claims made by some conspiracy theorists, including Mohammed Al-Fayed. Richard Tomlinson, a former MI6 officer, made controversial claims implicating British intelligence services in the tragic death of Princess Diana. He alleged that MI6 was monitoring Diana, had connections with her bodyguards, and had even orchestrated the crash as part of a larger plan. These claims have been widely disputed and dismissed by official investigations, but they continue to fuel conspiracy theories and public interest surrounding the event. According to his allegations, Paul Henry was said to be providing MI6 with updates about Diana and other members of the royal family. However, evidence discrediting Tomlinson's claims was found in drafts of a book he wrote about his time in MI6 before he was jailed in 1998 for breaching the Official Secrets Act. There are also serious questions about how the French authorities handled the crash's immediate aftermath. The tunnel was cleared, cleaned, and reopened to traffic hours after the accident. Typically, the crash site would be preserved for a more thorough investigation in high-profile incidents of this magnitude. Critics argue that this hasty cleanup may have been an attempt to erase vital evidence. Witnesses at the scene claimed that the police never contacted them, and specific testimonies, including those involving the white Fiat, were dismissed or ignored. This apparent disregard for key witnesses serves as evidence of a cover-up, suggesting that certain truths were being concealed. In response to growing public skepticism about the French investigation, the 2004 British operation known as PADIT was launched. Its goal was to address conspiracy claims and provide definitive answers. The final report concluded that Diana's death was a tragic accident caused by reckless driving, with no evidence of conspiracy. It dismissed claims of MI6 involvement, discredited the letter Diana wrote to Paul Bull, and ruled out any wrongdoing by Prince Charles. Matters worsened for Prince William, as his relationship with Harry and their father became increasingly strained in recent years. The sad details of their family union are shocking. The fractured bonds between Harry and Charles stem from shared emotional pain, as Harry understands what it feels like to suffer. He believes his father and brother are trapped in their own struggles. The relationship between Prince William, Harry, and their father, Prince Charles, has been marred by tension and unresolved emotional wounds. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were even asked to vacate their British residence, Frogmore Cottage, with confirmation from their spokesperson that they were instructed to leave by Buckingham Palace in January, just days after Prince Harry published his memoir, Spare. While the bond between William and Harry was initially shaped by mutual grief and royal obligations, it has faced significant strain following the death of Princess Diana. For William, the loss of their mother at such a young age was a defining moment. He has since expressed feelings of abandonment and disappointment in his father's response. Charles, focused on maintaining his royal duties, left his children feeling emotionally neglected when they needed their father the most. One of the key sources of this tension is rooted in Diana's troubled marriage to Charles. While the world admired Diana as the people's princess, she endured emotional turmoil behind closed doors due to Charles's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Diana's famous comment, "There were 3 of us in this marriage," reflected the emotional strain she experienced, which profoundly affected William. Witnessing his mother's unhappiness left a lasting psychological impact, and William believed his father could have done more to support and protect her. This sense of helplessness resurfaced after Diana's death, as William felt that Charles again prioritized Camilla and royal duty over his role as a father. The most unsettling aspect of this situation involves the letter Diana wrote before her death. In it, she claimed that her life was in danger and feared a planned accident, referencing brake failure and a head injury. This letter fueled conspiracy theories about the circumstances of her death. While no official evidence implicated Charles, the fact that Diana felt compelled to write such a letter raised suspicions. This revelation may have deepened William's distrust of his father and the royal institution. The idea that Diana felt unsafe within her family echoed Harry's later experiences of feeling vulnerable within the royal system. After Diana's death, Charles took on the role of both parent and public figure. The decision to have William and Harry walk behind their mother's coffin became a defining image of royal stoicism. While the world admired the boy's composure, William later described the experience as emotionally traumatic, likening it to an out-of-body event. Despite being only 15 years old, he was expected to project strength, a tradition rooted in the royal family's emphasis on emotional restraint. William later criticized this approach, arguing that it forced him to suppress his grief rather than process it naturally. For both William and Harry, Charles's insistence on maintaining a stiff upper lip mirrored the royal family's philosophy of prioritizing appearances over emotional well-being. Another pivotal moment in Charles's fractured relationship with his children occurred during Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle. The couple faced intense scrutiny from the British media, and Harry sought support from his father. However, he felt disappointed when Charles stopped answering his calls, and he claimed that every time he tried to address issues privately, there were briefings, leaks, and planted stories against him and Meghan. The royal family's motto, "Never complain, never explain," seemed to reinforce Harry's belief that his father was unwilling to stand up against the system. Harry described this moment as one of the most painful betrayals, highlighting the family's failure to support him and his wife. William and Harry saw echoes of their mother's experience, where Diana faced relentless media attention with little protection from the royal family. By failing to intervene, Charles became yet again a symbol of the monarchy's indifference to the personal struggles of its members. The children's frustrations with their father are deeply tied to the concept of duty. While Charles views duty as an essential part of being royal, his children see it as an obligation that often comes at the expense of personal happiness and emotional health. William's openness about seeking therapy and advocating for mental health awareness marks a generational shift in attitudes. Unlike their father, who internalized pain and projected a tough public image, William chose to confront his emotional wounds head-on. His decision to speak publicly about his struggles directly challenged royal norms. The emotional struggle between William and Charles is not merely a family dispute, it represents a significant clash of values. For Charles, upholding the monarchy requires sacrifices, including emotional restraint and adherence to protocol. However, this approach feels outdated and harmful to William and Harry. William's decision to break the cycle of generational pain is a conscious rejection of his father's parenting style. He has expressed his desire to raise his children in a more emotionally supportive environment, free from the rigid demands of royal life. This decision continues his mother's legacy, as Diana was known for her hands-on approach to parenting, often prioritizing her son's emotional well-being over royal protocol. Thank you for joining us. What do you think about the French investigations into Princess Diana's death? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed watching the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the following video on your screen to continue watching.